Todd, sweet, sweet Todd, you did it again. This must be at least the 6th time I've bought Oblivion. And while the story is the same as it was nearly 20 years ago, somehow Todd, you mad bastard, you seem to have caught lightning in a bottle again. But have you done enough to truly warrant a better rating than the original? Well, in order to find that out, we have to talk about the changes that have been made. And oh, sweet dear lord, does this game look good. There are still some oddities with the faces, but I think this is a nod to the old game, and it's just a minor nitpick. There are many times when I stopped and looked around, noting how beautiful the game looks. It is a complete facelift and feels genuinely like I'm discovering the game again for the first time. For example, weapons have cool looking redesigns, and it made me want to go and rediscover unique enchanted weapons that mostly looked like any other weapon of that type. The music hasn't changed, once again maintaining the meme status of the original by keeping one of the best and most memorable soundtracks of gaming history. Sound design has been reworked, but I think it still lacks a bit of oomph to give it a better sense of impact. Gameplay also feels significantly different. While combat is still a bit floaty, it feels like it has more impact and is more structured than it was before. I personally loved how the magic system and bows handle, arguing that they handle better than in Skyrim, though melee, despite the new animations, is probably on par, if not just a teeny bit better than Skyrim. Engaging with enemies on the whole is much better than the original Oblivion experience. This is mainly because every interaction doesn't feel like a desperate struggle to survive. I felt reasonably powerful throughout, while the game still offered its challenges at times. And it does still encourage managing your resources well, and using your environment and companions, especially the way I played this time around. Leveling up has been fixed. The game gives you a set amount of skill points to assign with every level, as opposed to having to go around and min-max your skill grinding, or just simply skipping leveling up entirely to avoid the terrible level scaling. Speaking of level scaling, yeah, they fixed that too. Fights feels fair, and the overall balance of drop goods and prices is much more reasonable. However, there are some changes to weapon and armor degradation that leaves me questioning if it actually does anything. Interfacing with people is also better. The UI makes it far more clear what you're doing, and the ease of life improvements make selling generally better. The only real criticisms I have here is mainly not being able to see your weight without pressing a button when you open a container. Also, individual adjustments being tied to arrows instead of A and D, as well as not allowing you to click the arrows on either side to make individual adjustments. Luckily, accessibility is much better than the original. While English is the only available spoken language, subtitles are available in 9 languages. There are also settings to adjust the size of the font, along with keyboard and controller button remapping. There are also 5 difficulties. I personally played on the middle difficulty and found it a bit challenging on occasion, but with the options that are available, I think that the game will be manageable for most people, especially if they use old school exploits in the environment or through the magic system. As for convenience, Remastered does do reasonably well here. While it's currently only available on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, as well as being available digitally on Steam, given Bethesda's past, I wouldn't be surprised to see a port on the next generation of consoles, though I do think that they have the potential of skipping the Switch for the Switch 2. The menus are a bit of an odd clash between old and new, but the only real criticism I have for them is the fact that I would have preferred a separate system menu instead of the all-in-one menu they implemented. The combined pause menu is less intuitive, and it remembers the last thing that you opened, which at times can be annoying unless you remember the designated key that you need to press to get to the section that you want. I already mentioned some of my interface quips, but there are a lot of options available. I've also heard some rumors about performance issues, but I launched this game on my gaming laptop that has the specs on the screen now, and while it does pop up with a warning that I'm below the recommended requirements, It did run, though it was slightly choppy. It maintained a playable frame rate in a fairly tame fight, so if you have a PC that's more powerful than my 4-year-old gaming laptop, I think you'll be able to play this game fine. But I do see some of their concerns, because on my main rig, which defaulted to Ultra, I still noticed the occasional hiccup when changing to and from loading screens. But ultimately, Bethesda is still Bethesda, and I've run into quite a few bugs, one of which broke my ability to progress through Arena. I've also experienced some weird lingering chameleon effect, though I'm not 100% sure if this was a glitch or not. I also experienced an incident that moved my enemies where they were supposed to spawn after I died, another where the shield stayed equipped on my character when I swapped to the bow, which interferes with your vision. I also encountered inconsistent poses in the inventory menu, and probably more as I continue to play the game. While I hope that they will fix these issues with time, it definitely does leave a bad taste in my mouth that there are this level of bugs. But despite my issues, I sure of hell have been enjoying my time with this game. I found myself sucked in and was eager to see the things that they had added or changed outside of the stuff they added through the deluxe edition. Oblivion has a ton of memorable quests and still has a reasonable story. While I do think that it is sad to see the bugs, the remaster has fixed the most significant criticisms I had with the original game. They struck an excellent balance of knowing which elements to keep and which to change. With the addition of the much better balancing, Remastered certainly has the potential to regain my spot for the most hours spent in the game, and I think that this certainly means that it earns a must-play. It is, at least for now, the definitive way to experience Oblivion, and it's an RPG that I could easily recommend to almost anyone. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Check out my last video on Non-Holy and consider subscribing. Until then, this has been Rob the Slob. I'll see you in the virtual commute.